This is England's most famous tree, our favourite tree, the oak tree. It's been associated with Britishness for many centuries. The legend of the Green Man, if you see carvings of the Green Man, he often has oak leaves spouting out of his mouth and wrapped around him. It's often been a fertility symbol. It's often been a focus for people's villages, often built around great oak trees, and they're used as landmarks and boundaries. They're also a very important economic tree, not just for the timber, which famously was used to build the great navies of Britain that conquered the world, but also for their fuel wood, and particularly for their acorns. And acorns used to be a really important economic crop. Now, in the Domesday Book, when they measured the area of a forest that was associated with a village, they measured it in terms of the number of pigs that could feed in it. Because the pigs used to feed on the acorns, and that was what gave them such great flavour. So actually, the value of the acorns themselves was one of the most important economic aspects of an oak tree. A lot of people at the moment are thinking about Britishness and Englishness in particular, and whether we should have an English National Day to celebrate being English. And we've kind of invented St George's Day as being the English day, which is peculiar because St George was Turkish and he never visited England, doesn't really have any particular association with this country. And it seems strange to me because we actually have an English National Day that's been forgotten for many years. And that's Oak Apple Day, which is on the 29th of May. And this celebrates the occasion in the English Civil War when Charles II, while in exile, hid from the rebel forces in the oak tree at Boscobel. And because of this incident, when the restoration of the throne came about in 1660, when Charles II came back to the throne, he decreed that the 29th of May would be a day of celebration, and particularly for the dressing of trees, so that they could remember this great incident. It used to be called Royal Oak Day prior to the Victorians, but because around this time of year you start getting oak apples forming, which are caused by a calcid wasp, I think it is. It's a wasp that causes this bulb to form on the oak trees, and these are bright red. They're not actually apples in any sense, they're not fruit of the tree, they're a pathogenic thing. Every town tends to have a pub that's called the Royal Oak, and outside the Royal Oak you'll see a sign hanging there which is a picture of an oak tree with a crown stuck in the middle of it, and that's to commemorate the oak tree at Boscobel. Well, everyone should know what an oak leaf looks like. They've got a characteristic shape, at least British oak trees have. Although it should be noted that the shape of oak leaves in England, the English oaks, is different from oaks elsewhere in the world. But you can recognise an oak anywhere in the world from acorns and acorn cups, and they're absolutely distinctive of oak trees. In the winter, one of the things I like to look for is this family of trees. You get knuckles along the twigs where each year's growth ends, and actually they break quite easily along those knuckles. And when there's no leaves on it, those are quite a distinctive feature of oak twigs. The question I'm being asked most commonly at the moment is what's happening to all of England's oak trees, and particularly people want to know about sudden oak death. Now there's three things you need to know about sudden oak death. The first thing is it's not sudden, it takes 4 or 5 years. Second thing is it doesn't mostly affect oaks, and the third thing is it doesn't kill them. So apart from that, it's a really good name. Now, sudden oak death is a major problem in the United States. It's wiping out large numbers of trees over there. It's causing quite a lot of damage to forests in the States. Over here, we don't have that much to worry about, at least not for our oak trees. It would seem that the British oak tree species are immune to sudden oak death. And the species that suffer the most from it are actually rhododendrons and viburnums. And frankly, anything that kills rhododendron isn't too much of a concern to me. There are some British trees that might be susceptible to it. There's some indications that maybe beech trees can suffer from it. But the things that you may have heard in the media about all the oaks in Britain are going to be wiped out just like the elms were in the 1960s, that's very unlikely to happen. So the English oak should be with us for a good long time yet. Sudden oak death is a fungus. It's Phytophthora is the genus, and it infects the barks of trees and it causes bleeding sores to open, so you get sap coming down from sores of the trees. There is a similar disease that does affect oak trees, which is called Acute Oak Decline, and that can be a problem in some places.